Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. A8A Works, it's Norb here, and today I've got the big one for you guys because we're kicking off episode 2 of the Top Secret Dynasty with a massive 4-way battle of the gold painted Toyota Supra GT-300 from the legendary tuner Top Secret. And in this episode, BMC versus Inno64 versus MiniGT versus PopRace. So let's go. As you guys will notice, our channel name has changed to A8A Works from NH Exotic Cars, and I released a channel announcement video yesterday. Check it out after this because it gives you a nice preview of all the upcoming models I'll be reviewing in the future. But of course, let's get down to business. So we've got these 4 incredible looking Supras right over here. I'm going to give you a nice systematic breakdown of the stance, bodywork, paint, wheels, and all the little details that come with these cars, and at the end I'll pick out which one I think is the best, and of course I'll let you guys decide in the comments which one wins it for you. But before we get through though, an interesting note though, strangely enough, these Top Secret branded models from multiple manufacturers only really started releasing en masse around last year or so. It really felt like the wave hit all at once. Suddenly, the gold Supra legend was in miniature form from multiple brands all at once. So for collectors, that means lots of choice, competition, and higher standards as well. Of course, last week we started off with this silver Supra in episode 1 of the Top Secret Dynasty series. So let's actually talk about the real car a little bit. Because the Supra GT-300 built by Smoky Nagata and Top Secret is truly a legendary icon. Unlike many Supra builds which keep the normal 2JZ GTE inline 6 engine, this particular one uses a heavily modified Toyota 3S GTE 4-cylinder stroked to approximately 2.2 liters and revving way beyond 10,000 RPM in some reports. The car made roughly 700 wheel horsepower and was built to chase straight line speed challenges, including the 0 to 300 kilometer runs organized by Option magazine in New Zealand in 1999. Smoky's philosophy is clear: gold paint means first place. The color signifies his ambition to be the best, and this build was a statement of that ambition. Let's start off with a quick introduction to each model because they came out at different times. So this one was the BMC version, which came out around about a year ago, and there are other colors available of it. There is a white one, and there's also a really cool looking chrome gold. The original prices started at around £40 or so, but nowadays you can pick them up for anywhere between 15 to 30 pounds. The Inno64 variant, so this car came out earlier this year, and there are some other variants available as well. The 0 to 300 variant, which actually uses an RB26 engine, surprisingly, and there is also the silver version, as you saw earlier, and this is of course from the GT show from 2025. It's an event edition car. And the prices of these, you're looking at roughly between 25 to 35 pounds currently. MiniGT, this is a really recent release. It just came out not long ago, number 961. And of course, there are some other colors of this one coming out as well, mainly a red one and a blue one. And the price for this is around about 15 to 20 pounds or so. And last but not least, we've got the PopRace variant. This is also a really recent release, and there is actually a really cool looking like gold chrome version of this, but it's super expensive, and there's even a raw finish one which almost looks like a white color, and that's another really expensive one. Of course, this one though is just a regular release and retails for around about 20 to 25 pounds currently. And I know you guys ask me quite often about where you can buy these models in my videos, so I am currently working on trying to get some video links for you guys in my video descriptions. I might not have one up for this video yet, but it's something I'm working for in the very near future. So let's start the showdown. This video I'm going to do a little bit differently. We're going to check out the packaging on every single car and open all of them pretty much all at once, so that we can have all 4 cars next to each other for a side-by-side comparison rather than doing individual breakdowns. It's a new method. I've never done it, but I've never reviewed 4 cars at the same time. This is going to be really intense, to say the least. So let's get into it. First up, really good presentation on the BMC. Nice top secret writing in the back of the car, and overall the box has this really cool black and gold motif, Supra, and here it says Hong Kong Toy Car Salon Edition 2024. So this was actually a pretty special one too over here, and underneath a little bit of information just over there. So here, another beautiful gold finish with this cool looking black stripe, and of course this is just Top Secret GT-300. And here it's got a nice little Top Secret logo as well, and a beautiful piece of line art, and there's even a really awesome picture of the actual car in the background over here. And of course this one is an officially licensed product by Toyota. So next one up is the MiniGT, and typical MiniGT style box, Top Secret GT-300 gold, number 961, and pretty standard looking box. Officially licensed product once again. And last but not least, the PopRace, another beautiful gold box, and I really like these diagonal white stripes going down. I think it gives it a really awesome look. And of course here it just says PopRace GT-300 Supra. This is number 229, and a pretty normal PopRace style box, officially licensed by Toyota. So let's open them up individually, starting with the BMC. And here we go. So, something's already popped out from the bottom here. A little carbon fiber bonnet extra over here. And of course this car does feature a carbon fiber bonnet as well. And straight away, beautiful looking display. A little bit loose case, but that happens from time to time. And wow, this thing looks actually seriously impressive. So the BMC was the first company to release this Top Secret Supra. So really they were the pioneers in this mold, and for that I must applaud them. And it was actually the first gold Toyota Supra that I actually got. And interestingly enough, this one has an opening bonnet as well. So I'm really intrigued to check out the detail there. Of course, Top Secret, really nice print on this clear acrylic, and it gives it a really premium look. I'm a huge fan of that. And straight away, looking at the car, we can see that the gold finish is really spectacular. Beautiful highlights, really nice finish on this carbon fiber over here. And overall, the proportions seem to be pretty accurate as well. And the car looks really awesome. The ride height seems a little bit high at first glance, but I think once we take it off this plinth, we'll be able to get a better look at it. But so far so good, and you can see the width that this car has, and it just looks absolutely epic. So let's open up the Inno as well, and here we go. Wow, this looks pretty awesome. And of course, keeping in typical Inno64 tradition, the Top Secret background, they've all had the same background in varying colors. So let's actually check the car out. Ooh, and a good case, it's not too loose or anything like that. And man, this thing looks absolutely epic. So I had gotten the silver one, and I wasn't actually going to get this gold one, but then I thought for completion I need to add it to the bunch so I could do this nice comparison for you guys. And I must say I am not disappointed. I'm really happy I got this, and the color looks absolutely spot on. Beautiful highlights and light lines running along the edges of the car. Of course, great finish on the paint, and overall beautiful proportions. And this one actually seems to be sitting nice and flush to the ground, just like a real Top Secret should be. And this one is presented on a beautiful black plinth, just finished off in this high gloss, so we've actually got a nice bit of reflection underneath it as well. And here all the writing is in gold, Top Secret Supra, and beautiful presentation so far. So let's add it to the lineup. So next one up is the MiniGT, and it was actually completely sealed. I've never opened this car in my life before. I just cut this open right now. And also, if you're wondering why I'm doing it in this order, well, we're going alphabetically, and it's almost a perfect line of release for the cars as well. So let's check this out. Oh man. Oh yes. Wow. Okay, this is really cool actually. The color is a little bit more washed out almost, you could say. It's not quite as a striking hitting gold like right in your face. It's got a little bit more of a champagne sort of color to it. And of course the rims are totally different as well. But it's got a really clean aesthetic to it, to be honest. Not like the other two so far have looked a little bit crazy in terms of the color scheme, but this one doesn't have a carbon fiber bonnet, so it's just got a lot more clean sort of look to it. And of course the paint quality, very typical MiniGT, beautiful light lines running across this here, so great quality in the paint. And of course in terms of color, as I mentioned, it is a little bit different from the other two, and overall proportions look pretty much spot on. This one seems to have like a little bit lower of a back, and I feel like maybe the BMC over here was quite a lot more bulky in this rear area. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's not the case. We'll check them out in a moment. So this one is also completely sealed. I just cut this edge of it open here with the blade, and let's actually check this one out. I heard this PopRace one is seriously impressive, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the way that this one looks. So let's check it out. Ooh, the color is quite a lot deeper than the MiniGT already, and man, this thing looks seriously epic. Wow. Okay. Whew. Guys, I don't really know what we're gonna do. This is gonna be very, very close to call these cars. The character of this looks absolutely ridiculous with these crazy multi-spoke wheels, and of course this one's also got a painted bonnet and also an opening bonnet, and man, just look at all the details underneath it. That is absolutely crazy. Wow, okay, I'm seriously impressed with this one as well. Let's check the paintwork. Once again, beautiful, nice gloss finish and similar gold flake to the other ones, and proportionately it's really spot on, I would say. And you can also see the ride height is pretty nice and flush, and actually the car's got a bit of a slam stance on here. So let's check it out from this angle, and man, I don't even know how I'm going to compare all four of these at once rather than just going one by one. This is going to be really difficult, so you guys are going to definitely have to tell me what you guys think in the comments. So I suppose go for it. We have all four contenders, everything off their bases, and all the cars are ready to roll. And speaking of ready to roll, a lot of you guys were interested in whether the cars roll, so I'm going to stop the turntable and we can actually give them a try. So first up, we've got the BMC over here, and let's take a look at this. So is it ready to roll? Kind of. It's kind of hesitant, to say the least. It's not exactly a free rolling model. You can see it's got quite a bit of resistance. So next one up, Inno64. So let's get that on there and let's have a look. Also a little bit hesitant. You can see it looks like the brakes are on or something like that is going on, especially in the front wheels. So the wheels do move, but I wouldn't say it's like a free rolling car. So MiniGT, let's see how that does. And you could see how eager it was to come here already, and straight away this thing is pretty much ready to hit even the Hot Wheels trucks, although I wouldn't really suggest that you do that, but of course it rolls nice and free. And last one up is the PopRace, so let's give it a roll, and wow, as you can see, it's got a really nice smooth rolling wheels. So that's the little comparison done, and now let's check out the scales of all of them. And so here we go. This is a top-down view. I've tried to put the camera as far as possible so you don't get a distorted like perspective view of the cars, and I've pushed all of them as far back as they go along this acrylic. And of course you can see that in terms of size they're all pretty much identical. Possibly the BMC over here looks a slightly bit touch bigger. If I put this over here, I don't know, they're pretty much the same, to be honest. So yeah, you can even see the window lines begin at almost the same line here as well. So in terms of proportion, I think they're all pretty accurate. And it's pretty nice because from this angle you can see a few variances as well, mainly in terms of the color. So interestingly enough, the BMC and the Inno are pretty similar in hues, but of course the other two are quite a bit more washed out. Interestingly enough, the MiniGT is kind of pale in comparison to the other ones. And of course there's a lot of little details that you can see here as well. All the banners in the window are a slightly bit different between all four of them. Of course we've got the different bonnets, 2 carbon, 2 non, but of course the MiniGT has these horizontal slats over here, and even in the rear window you can see that we've got the writing, and that seems to be different. Some have the rear mount brace, and some even have the windscreen wipers at the back as well, and all the wings are a little bit different too. So interesting little details, and let's check it out from a different angle. All the bumpers look a little bit different. I suppose the BMC and the MiniGT look pretty similar to one another, but I will actually just break them down individually as well. And I don't like to rotate this table by hand like this. It's not exactly good for it, but I thought just to show you guys this nice lineup of them, and you can really see some cool differences between all of them. And just a few images of the rear here as well. The tail lights, immediately you can see the differences between them. So the MiniGT's one is kind of a dark sort of setup. The BMC is really nice and deep, and of course this Inno64 is also pretty dark to say the least, but it looks like it's full of detail, and the PopRace looks a little bit more simplistic compared to the other one so far. But of course I am going to have a look at all of them a lot closer individually, but I thought I'd just give you a quick spin just so we can get a nice view of all of them. Interestingly enough, we've got some strange shapes in this cant rail. The cant rail is this line essentially that goes from the A pillar all the way down to the C pillar, and especially this top area here. So you can see the DLO, the shape of the window, is kind of exaggerated over here. I feel like the Inno64 looks quite a lot more accurate, that curve, and the PopRace also seems kind of like high almost in the center there, and the MiniGT has also got a really nice curve to it. So slight bits of variation. More side-by-side comparison. I thought let's do the two like gold ones with the carbon, and just the two comparing to one another. You could see the wheelbases are pretty much spot on, and even the design of the shape of the rear and all those things is pretty much identical. And in terms of width, they are pretty much exactly the same. So let's see the two lighter colors. So in terms of wheelbase, we're pretty much spot on again, and in terms of track width, pretty much spot on between those two as well. So let's check them out individually. Okay, a quick walk around of the BMC. So in this closer view, we can see the dimension of the paint over here, and you can see we've got quite a lot of this like metallic flake inside it, and it looks really awesome. It's even got some like little dark dots in there. I think it just adds to the kind of depth over here, and great shut lines and split lines in this top area over here. Nice little top secret in the banner over here, just finished off in the blue, topsecretjapan.com, and of course some three-dimensional windscreen wipers too. And we head into this crazy looking carbon fiber bonnet, and of course this is the one that came with the extra decal as well. So we've got 3 air outlets, or I suppose 6, and they're not pierced through or anything, but it's kind of nice that the features of those air outlets are not lost with this carbon fiber texture vinyl. Sometimes the vinyls are wrapped over in such a way that it loses the finesse and the three-dimensionality of the textures underneath, but in this case it's pretty good. And here we've got 2 more air outlets just over there, and of course the Top Secret logo, gold on black, black on gold, and the color and the quality of that is pretty nice. Lights have a nice bit of three-dimensionality, just finished off in the silver, not too much detail. They do have quite a bit of depth in them, and of course this black surround, and we've got the acrylic covers as well, and of course nice shut lines along the edges of the bonnet. And of course there is actually a reason for that, and the reason is this. Ta-da! Well, there you have it. A fully opening bonnet, and that's really incredible to see, and a great bit of detail has gone into this engine. It looks a little bit simplistic, but at least it does open. So straight away, I can tell you that this is actually a 2JZ engine, which is the same as what the standard Supra came with. And we've got a really nice, massive single turbo there, and we've even got the intake pipes finished off in silver. But thankfully, just like a real top secret, this whole engine section is also colored in gold. However, as you can see underneath this section over here on the bonnet, this carbon fiber texture does not carry through, but that's a very typical thing. It doesn't on most models, but it's nice that we've got a little bit of detail in here. There's no like tower or strut brace running across the towers of the wheel arches or anything like that, but here we've got a really nice bit of detail on the opening and closing latch, and that's pretty nicely modeled actually. It's quite a lot more detailed than I would have thought it would be. Then heading off into the front bumper, beautiful, typical top secret looking style bumper, and of course the silver intercooler ORC, which is the clutch company. Nice bit of three-dimensionality on the indicators in there, just finished off in silver. It's not a separate element or anything like that, it's just made into the molding of the metal over here. And we've even got the little spotlights over here. There is some three-dimensional bolts around the edges, but you can see the light is just finished off in a silver color over there. And then of course we've got these two side intakes as well, and they're actually pierced through. Nice bit of three-dimensionality, and the intercooler seems pretty decent, and nice modeling on this whole section here. And of course here we've got Raise Engineering written. So we've checked this sort of area, so I will do the same for the next car. Continuing with the Inno64, so in this case we've got a really nice metal flake. Once again, it's really similar to the look of the BMC. I will put them side by side here underneath the light. It almost looks like they were dipped in the exact same paint. Maybe the hue is like one tinge different, but other than that they are pretty much identical. And even the color is really nicely finished. We've got a beautiful light lines heading off of this car, and great finish over here. So straight away on the roof we've got some nice three-dimensionality, but as you can see the split lines are not quite as evident as they were on this one over here, so you can just see it over there. Then of course the top banner, top secret once again, but this one's logo is written in a kind of gold finish rather than this sort of orange color. And then heading off into the front windscreen, pretty much the same kind of scuttle area. Maybe this one on the Inno is quite a lot more finessed, and even the windscreen wipers are a little bit more detailed on this Inno64. And of course these two cars share the exact same type of bonnet as well, so we've got those same air outlets, and once again those two there as well. And you can see the differences between the carbon fiber texture. So this one had quite a bit more of a deep weave, and this one is quite a lot more finer on here. And you can even see we've got the window washer little sections over there, and we've even got these really beautiful photo etched bonnet latches over here, whereas those details were missing on here. Once again, top secret, gold on black, black on gold. And you can see the difference in the quality. They look kind of different, but to be honest, the writing of the BMC looks a little bit more accurate than it does over here, although it could just be different iterations of the logo. Maybe this one is a little bit more crisp though. And here you can actually see that sort of artifact that I was talking about when they lay this carbon fiber vinyl over the vents. So in the inlays of the vents in there, you can see we've got this strange like blacked out area, and that's usually when they stick these down and then the residue doesn't stick down enough or something like that, and we end up getting a little bit of artifacting around those air outlet sections. But of course, great shut lines on the actual bonnet over here, and this one does not open at all, unfortunately. And heading into the headlights, great three-dimensionality, and you can see we've got quite a lot more depth of detail on this one. We've got even the little surrounds, and we've got these sort of projector lights on the interior, and the entire surround is finished off in this black. Once again, the lights on this Inno seem a little bit darker overall. Maybe got this little black surround going around the edge of the lights, if you can see, whereas the BMC didn't have that. It was just a pretty much clear acrylic all the way. So that's an interesting bit of detail and actually gives it a little bit of a menacing look, to be honest. And of course, from the front side over here, brilliant looking light lines and great three-dimensionality on the surfaces over here, really beautifully finished off. And we can check it out compared to the BMC. So the BMC over here was kind of sharp, whereas this one seems a little bit softer in terms of approach. You can actually see this kind of leading edge on the front of the car. It splits on this area just underneath the headlights, whereas this Inno version seems to be a kind of continuous curve over here. So if I actually face them like this, we can see the shape of the bumpers are a slight bit different, not too much, but there is a bit of variation in there. And of course, once again, the indicators, this one's split into the orange and the silver, but it's not like pierced through or anything, but it is three-dimensional. Then we've got that really deep intercooler, really beautiful lines going across it, and finished off in a nice chrome with a black split. So that looks nice, hyper-realistic almost. And of course, the intakes on the side, and these ones actually have some black backing, but it seems to be that they're not actually pierced through. And over here we've got the ORC logo once again, just like we did here, and not too much difference. This one's a little bit smaller, but in terms of finish, both of them are really great. And once again, we've got the acrylic cover on this one. So of course the real car had those. It helps with the aero, so the air flows really nicely around this edge over here as opposed to crashing into the light in this intake area. And we've even got the little bolts going around this acrylic edge, and raise engineering once again, just like this car, but you can see the color of the raise engineering writing is a slightly bit different. So now jumping into the MiniGT straight away, we've got a pretty different color in this. So we've got a nice gold finish, but it's more similar to Top Secret Skyline, also by MiniGT, and I feel like these two make a really great pairing together, and you can see that we've got very similar colors in those two cars. Of course, nice metallic flake in this, and beautiful light lines heading off. So of course, the paint quality is pretty usual for these guys. Top Secret once again, and the banner's finished off in an almost gold, not quite orange. It's kind of in between the Inno and the BMC. Top Secret Japan. The writing is quite a lot larger in the Top Secret Japan on this, so it is a little bit different in terms of those. And then of course we've got the front scuttle again with some little windscreen wipers, and I'll compare it to the Inno over here, so you can really see the differences in the detailing. Strangely enough, the windscreen wipers begin under the scuttle over there. I think that's how they should be on the real car, although on this one it starts here. I'm not really sure which one the real car represents better. And of course, jumping into the bonnet, this one is really different because we've got the color of the car continuing onto the bonnet area, and really great depth of detail. We've got these three little air outlets, we've got the sprayers, of course ORC over here, and we've got some nice little logos over here, powered by Thunder, ORC, Cresco. I heard that in Japan they really like to put these kind of English names, and quite often they didn't really mean anything, but they looked really cool and they just ended up putting them on the cars. So that's pretty crazy. And of course here, nice three-dimensionality on the air outlets. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 air outlets, but they're not pierced through and they're not colored in black either. So from this angle, it looks pretty much spot on, but when I rotate it to this angle, I feel like it's kind of unfinished. I just feel like if they painted it black on the air outlets, it would give it a little bit more realism for that section. Of course, the Top Secret logo, once again over here, really nicely finished off, and there's no like bleed or anything going onto it. Of course, the logo is once again a little bit different compared to the other ones. So some of them seem a little bit more stretched out, a little bit longer. Some of them seem a little bit more square, especially you can see in this little rectangle behind the writing that says Top Secret. This one's almost like a square shape, and this one's this kind of elongated rectangle, and this one's also almost like a square, but this one's actually offset a little bit. But of course, guys, if this breakdown is too difficult to go through, I will have side-by-side comparison images on my Instagram and my Facebook as well, where I'll have all of them lined up, and you can take your time and look at them individually and just check them out for yourself. So carrying through to the car, we've got the headlights over here. Nice bit of three-dimensionality once again, but this time just finished off in a silver. So there's no black surround, and there's no black surround on the acrylic either. And I kind of wish it had a little bit more detail. Of course, in terms of surfacing, the modeling is actually pretty decent, but I think it's nowhere near in comparison to what the Inno had to offer. This looks really deep and realistic, whereas this one seems a little bit too simple. But the nose on this one, once again, is similar to that Inno, and it's kind of curved and got a really soft surface. And actually, you can see how beautiful these light lines are hitting off all the air outlets over there when I rotate like that. I say, while holding the car in my hand here, I feel like the weight of this is a little bit less than the other three over there. So jumping into the center, we've got this intercooler. It's really nice and deep, and it's actually a separate element once again in a nice silver, but there's no black iterations between them or anything like that, such as this Inno over here had. But of course, this one looks really nicely surfaced, really beautiful soft sections. And we've got the front indicator, once again orange and silver, just a painted little element. And of course we've got the side intakes. This one's also got the black backing over there, and it's not pierced through or anything like that. Then in the center, the ORC logo. Once again, this one seems to be pretty small, so let's compare it to the BMC this time. And you can see the size is really different compared to the two. And this one's also got the clear acrylic over the lights. However, the lights themselves seem to be a little bit like wishy-washy. It's just kind of painted in a silver. You can kind of see the circle going around it, but there's no actual three-dimensional light in there. But it does have the acrylic cover over it. And once again, Ray's Engineering over there. And the color is quite a lot lighter than the BMC, and seems like it's a little bit more saturated than it was on the Inno64. So let's check out the PopRace now, and starting with the gold flake, it's pretty much similar to the other ones, although you can see that the hue of this is a little bit leaning towards the golder side rather than this like faint champagne-y sort of gold. But it's still not quite as gold as the Inno one over here or the BMC. But of course, the metal flake looks really nice. And in terms of the surfacing, it's pretty much the same as what the Inno had over here. So we've got this kind of soft approach to the edge of the roof over there, but it does have a bit of three-dimensionality. I feel like the Inno one is a little bit better in that area over there. And in terms of this one, we didn't actually look at this, but this one actually has a really soft surface on the top of the MiniGT, so not kind of as detailed as the rest of them in that roof area. Then heading into the banner, the gold logo written in very small letters, and the Top Secret Japan written in gold this time. So man, this is crazy. Every single one of them has been different from one another. Once again, we've got the scuttle and windscreen wipers starting from the center of the scuttle, and straight away I can see some really beautiful gauges in this one. And now we come to the bonnet over here. Great amount of three-dimensionality. I'd say definitely the best out of the four so far. And of course, we've got this dual air outlet like we had on the other ones, but here with the cutouts, you can see the amount of three-dimensionality and surfaces you have in one of these bonnets over here. So we've got the spray jets over there, and we've got some air outlets there, but they're not pierced through. Nice little Top Secret logo over there. This one's more of a rectangle sort of shape. And of course, bonnet latches, and they're just a little bit of a vinyl. It's really nicely detailed, but it's not like a photo etch sort of finish like the Inno64 had. So you can just see the difference between there. And of course, opening bonnet. So let's open. And here we go. Whoa. Awesome. Wow. Straight away you can see the amount of detail PopRace has gone into. My word, that is absolutely epic. So this one is true to the original. Of course, the real car is running that 3S GTE, and that is from a Toyota Celica, and it's a 2.2 liter bored out engine. And one of the reasons they actually have this engine is because the cars in the original Japanese JGTC used to use these rather than the 2JZs, because it actually balanced the car way better. Because if you look, the actual engine is placed behind the front axle, so it distributes the weight more equally throughout the car, and it was a much better engine to use because of the balance it gave the car overall. And of course, these engines have been made to rev up to even 10,000 RPM, so it's absolutely insane. And it's even got this really cool little strut brace at the top as well, just to give it a bit more rigidity, just like the real car would have. And we've got some intake piping over here, finished off in silver with a blue sort of edges, and it looks to have even a crazy looking HKS style mushroom air filter. And of course, this car did actually feature an HKS built engine. And another thing that's a really great detail is that we've got this flat horizontal radiator here as well, and that just helped with cooling. And once again, that stays true to the original car. So I'm so impressed with the fact that they've put all these little details in there. Man, that's really, really awesome. And over here, it even says top secret just over there. Seriously awesome. Man, PopRace, you guys have outdone yourself. Of course, we've got some really cool looking headlights. Once again, they finished off in the black, and we've got quite a nice bit of depth of detail, and we've even got the lights finished off in silver. However, they are pretty strange looking, to say the least. It does have the same kind of three-dimensionality as this Inno one did, but it just seems a little bit weird. Like the edges of the projectors are finished off in black, and the space between the lights are finished off in silver, and they should be finished off in black like that. It is a little bit of a strange color combination on the lights on this, and the black surround once again. And of course, we've got nice soft surfacing over here, although the paint is a little bit more matte looking in this area. Overall, I feel like the paint quality, especially the clear lacquer, is a little bit better overall on the other cars than it is on this PopRace over here. And of course, this one's got the little top secret number plate in the front over there, whereas the other ones are missing that, and it protrudes from this intercooler over here. Once again, finished in 3D. But in terms of modeling, it's alright, but I feel like the other ones were a bit better, and the ORC logo is missing. Then on this front air intake, once again, it's just blanked off. Pretty much the same approach as the others. Then the indicators, and of course we've got the lights over here, and it's got that little acrylic over there as well, but we don't have little bolts running around it or anything like that. So I feel like it's a little bit more simplistic. We can have a look at it compared to the MiniGT over here, and you can see it is once again pretty different, and the black lights just really give it a nice menacing look though. But yeah, it's very tough to tell really which one is more preferred, you know. This one's got another Raise Engineering logo over here, but once again, it's different. So now let's do the rest of the cars, and I'm gonna do them 2 by 2 actually, because otherwise it's gonna get really insane to do this video. And I just put this model down actually a moment ago, and I'll show you what's happened over here. I put it down on the edge of the turntable, and in true Smoky Nagata fashion, he's actually doing a burnout over here. So that's pretty crazy. If he was here, I'm sure he would approve of that little situation. Front 3/4 over here, you can see we've got really nice modeling on both of them. However, I feel like this BMC's front edge seems pretty large, and maybe that's because it's not broken up quite as much as this Inno64 variant is. So we've got pretty similar style of logos, FCon Pro, and some other things, Top Secret 2001, Super G-Force, and this one has Thunder, Top Secret 2001, but you can see this one does not have a side indicator, and it does not have that side outlet there as well. So this one's got quite a lot more detail. We've got a nice little orange indicator, and we've got this outlet here, and this actually looks like an exhaust vent, but you can see we've actually got exhausts on the back of these cars. So I've heard that it's a few different things. I couldn't actually find the actual reason for this, but is that it's for the blow-off valve, just to let out the excess air out of the side. And I must say, that must sound absolutely epic when this thing is dumping the turbo gases, and it's just like comes out of here. It's, man, that's going to be absolutely crazy. There are some other places online that said it's to relieve pressure from the system as well. So interesting little detail, but it's missing on the BMC. And of course, jumping into the wheels as well, as you can see, we've got some gold 5 spokes on top here. The real car ran a set of Vogue GTCs, which was the 5 spokes that this car has over here, and it's just finished off in this gold trim with a polished lip, and there is no brake details behind that either. So it's just pretty simplistic, finished off in black, but they do spin relatively okay, and we do have some nice tread pattern over there as well. On the Inno64, you can see we've got these beautiful set of Rays Vogue Racing TE37s. This time also finished off in gold with a polished lip. It's another set of wheels that this car ran in real life, and this one's actually got some brake details behind it, and we've even got the gold calipers, and they spin pretty decently. But of course, as we saw earlier, it's not like a free rolling model to I don't know, I mean, you could see how well they spin over here, but you're not going to be racing them down a track or anything. But nice tread here as well. Then jumping into the other two, we've got MiniGT on top and PopRace on the bottom. And of course, we've got this nice soft surface on this front 3/4 over here, really nicely finished off. And of course, beautiful split line here between the bumper and this front 3/4 fender. And here as well, it's a similar sort of situation, but you can see it's a little bit sharper, I would say, on the surfacing on the edge of this one over here. Then in terms of liveries, once again, the F Comp V Pro, which the others had as well. And this one has Fusion, and this one's got Fusion as well. This one says Super Full Synthetic Motor Oil. That one's missing that. Super G-Force. So these two are kind of similar, and this MiniGT is missing the indicator, and this one has it. So a few differences once again. And of course, this one's got this air outlet for that blow-off valve, I suppose, and this one features that too. And this one's just finished off in black, and here as well, and with a silver surround. If we have a look at this car, because this car also included it, you can actually see that little section over there actually had some nice bolt holes running along the edge, and it was even finished off in this titanium blue. So I think overall the detail of the front 3/4 has been the best on the Inno64. Jumping into the wheels, as you can see, these two feature very similar looking wheels. So this top Secret Supra ran quite a few wheels, and this one is actually called a Vogue GTN. So this is the GTN series, and of course gold center with a polished lip, but this PopRace is quite a lot more gold than the MiniGT. And of course, as usual, MiniGT does not feature any brake details, but a nice rotation, polished lip, and pretty decent looking tread on the wheels. From here it almost looks like a bit too much tread almost. And then of course the PopRace, we've got some gold wheels once again, the same ones. Behind the spokes we do have some kind of a brake sort of detail, although there's no calipers or anything, and it's actually a really strange finish. If you look over there, you can see it's just this kind of blanked off area. It's almost surreal. It's so strange. I'm not really sure what they were trying to achieve with that. It almost looks like brakes in there, so you could see how they would be worn going around. It's got like this like striations or lines going across the wheels. But of course the tread on these ones look really good as well, and it's not too deep, so that's pretty good. And let's just look at underneath the car, just finished off in black. There is a little bit of detailing over here, and then going back in order, we've got the MiniGT over there, so they have the differences. Maybe this one is a little bit crisper in the details on the MiniGT. Then jumping into Inno, we've got the highlighted exhaust, so that's really nice. But in terms of three-dimensionality, pretty similar between the two over here. And of course, getting to the BMC over here, once again we've got the exhaust finished off in silver, and interestingly enough, you can see this one's exhaust system is actually split in the two directions, whereas this one is just a single style exhaust. So jumping into the side views, once again BMC and Inno, and here we've got this air outlet. It's three-dimensional, but it's not pierced through or anything like that. And on the Inno64, once again not pierced through, but it's finished off in black, and that's a nice little bit of detail here. And of course PopRace over here, also 3D but not pierced through and not colored, and PopRace is also the same situation over here. So once again, I'd say in terms of that detail, would take the win. Looking at the shut lines of all the doors, I think they all have really good modeling on all these cars, I must say. And of course the liveries here, Thunder and Recaro over there, and the same on this one as well. And you can even see we've got the pierced mirror here for the airflow, and this one is the same thing. And both of them have the reflector pieces in the mirrors as well. Although the BMC is just a sort of simplistic looking silver, it's not exactly too beautiful, but the Inno is nice and reflective, although it's so minuscule you can't really see much. And in terms of the side writing, Top Secret GT-300, this one has this kind of stroke going all the way around the GT-300 writing. Power of G-Ready or G-Ready, that looks kind of similar to. And then here it's this Thunder once again, and Takata over here, and this one has a little bit more detailing there, and the Takata writing is a little bit different in color here as well. And of course the three-dimensionality in the air intake here, we've got the little black finish and nice bolts going around in black on the Inno, and this one has nice three-dimensionality, but it's not colored in black, and we don't have any bolts or anything like that running around, although the bolts on this section over here are 3D. Then the door handles are pretty much 3D, and in terms of the shape of the DLO, they're kind of similar, but I did say earlier from this angle it looks a little bit stretched out over here, and I feel like the Inno is just a little bit more balanced in those details. So next to a MiniGT on the top once again, so Top Secret GT-300, this time written in red and written in red here as well. And this one actually says 35G G-Ready T88 34D, and that's a funny little detail because that was actually written on the real car as well. So this 3SG actually relates to the engine that the car has. T88 is the turbo it's using, and the 34D is the size of the turbo. So that's just a little bit of interesting information. Recaro Sport over there. There it says Recaro Special over there. So a little bit of differences between the writing. And of course, Power of G-Ready, and the finish of the writing is pretty decent on all of them. Then once again, Takata, and all different colors. Once again, all of them are so different and so similar at the same time. The side air outlets here, nice three-dimensionality, but not black. And here we've got the bolts almost poked in on the side of this one. This is the PopRace, of course, and on this one we've got a bit of three-dimensionality again, but this time it's actually finished in black. And we've even got the little bolts, but these ones seem a little bit more washed out. Then in terms of the door handles, this one seems to have really nice detail on the PopRace, and this one seems a little bit more simplistic. Once again, we've got those aero mirrors, and this one over here, the MiniGT, is not really poked through properly, I feel. Maybe a little bit, but it's not quite as deep as the rest. So MiniGT, unfortunately, skipping the detail of putting some reflector piece in there. And PopRace 2. I feel like these two are really like in their own sort of comparison, and those two are in their own comparison, because these two have so many things similar with one another, and then those two have so many things that are similar to one another. I'm actually kind of happy I divided them up like this, to tell you the truth. And of course, in terms of the DLO, this has got a really nice, sleek, thin looking DLO, but it almost makes it look like the proportions are incorrect. I feel like this height over here of the side of the car is really, really massive comparing to this seriously thin DLO. So in real life, most cars that are well designed tend to share a common element, is that they kind of use like golden proportions in these side proportions. So even if you don't know it, it really helps to set the character and the stance and proportion of a lot of things, not just cars, but it's featured a lot in design. And in this one, I feel like that's not really correct. So you can see how nicely this one fits over here. This one is a bit closer to the golden proportions, but this one I feel like has a really tiny DLO. Very strange. But then jumping into the rear 3/4, I'll start off with the MiniGT. So we've got this big ORC clutches Agora Racing, nice surfacing, and of course those little 3D sections continue there. And we've even got a split line over there. Of course, this has the wide body kit, so that's why that would be there. And pretty decent modeling on these surfaces. And of course, nice light lines once again, and the same rear wheels as we had on the front. They're not staggered or anything like that, and Raise engineering on the back over here. So PopRace, let's see, this one once again says ORC over here, and we've got these little bolt holes going all the way to the end. So the other one kind of stopped by this C pillar over here, and this one actually continues all the way through. Once again, nice surfacing, nice light lines, and same wheels as the front, and they spin, of course. Raise engineering once again. So let's see the color on those, and you can see it feels like some of them are a little bit more saturated on those blues, like the Raise Takata and Raise over there, and then some are a little bit different. I feel all of them feature some strange little minute differences between them, but great surfacing on this area over here. And then of course BMC over here and Inno, and once again we've got the ORC logo over there, and the black little bolt sections run through on this Inno, and Raise engineering, and nice surfacing, pretty nice soft surface on the rear end over here. And of course on this one here we've got this nice big flat surface over here as well. But one thing that's pretty strange on this BMC that I don't really like is the fact that you can see the front bumper is pretty low, which is kind of usual for a lot of these type of cars. And this section doesn't really index the side of the car, which means continuing in line with, you know, like the side, I suppose. And if you look at the back bumper over here, it's quite a lot higher than the side is. And I don't know, that doesn't really look right to me, to tell you the truth. It looks a little bit too high. So if you look at something like the Inno over here, you can see the bottom of the car is pretty much flush in the front with the side and even the rear bumper here. And I feel like that just gives it a nice, proper balanced look. And that's actually quite a lot more what the real car would look like as well. Of course, we've got the Raise engineering logo. This one kind of small, but once again super saturated, and there's the comparison of those two. And I just want to have a look at the side profile of these two. So if you look at the body kit, the way it continues on the MiniGT over here, and the way that it continues on the PopRace over here. So you can see how nice and kind of flush and nice and continuous that line is. So I feel like that's one area where the BMC is lacking, and it's kind of a shame to say the least. So carrying on into the rear mask over here, we've got the rear lights, and it looks like the lights are just painted over the acrylic over here, and it seems to be that the lights are a little bit like going up in this section, and it's not too bad, but it's actually painted onto the acrylic. I feel like it would have been nice if it had a little bit more depth over there. And we've got really nice three-dimensional surfacing on the rear over here, and a little number plate that says Top Secret, and even a third brake light finished in silver, Thunder logo over there. And of course we've got this silver exhaust over here. It doesn't have a black interior or anything like that. And of course this car ran a full titanium system, and this one's actually got the diffuser over here, and this is exactly like the one the Top Secret one had. Let's go into the Inno. This one should be quite a lot more impressive because the silver variant was absolutely insane. And straight away you can see we've got these little details. So we've got the writing over here, Greddy, the T88. We had it on the side of the PopRace over here, and now we've got it on the rear end of this one here. And the lights have a nice black mask and a lot of three-dimensionality, and you can see the orange and red and the silver for the brake lights shining through, and really great bit of detail, and then they actually look like real lights. And of course, we've got these little photo etched latches there as well. Really beautiful pieces of modeling. And the third brake light, although this time it's just a bit of paint, so it's not 3D or anything. Then the number plate is pretty much identical, so let's have a look at that over there. And of course, Agura clutch, ORC over there, and over here as well. And the bolts continue on both of them, this time in black and this one in body color. And of course, nice three-dimensionality. And here you can see we've got the exhaust, of course the full titanium system, but this time finished off in this titanium blue over here. So now MiniGT over here, we've got another black light surround on this and a lot of three-dimensionality and depth in there. And you can see the red, the orange and the white shining through, really great. And it's got the little Goretti writing over there as well. Third brake light is almost non-existent. It is three-dimensional, but it's not colored in. And then we've got 3D latches, but just in body color, and a simplistic black number plate over here. And of course, the exhaust finished off in silver, not painted black. Once again, we've got the same type of diffuser on this rear end as well. PopRace over here. So in terms of the rear lights, you can see we do have some three-dimensionality, and we've got the black surround here as well, although it's not quite as deep as the other ones were so far, and it's not quite as nicely detailed. We've got a third brake light just in silver, and the Goretti over there with the T88, and of course the little latches on the back, but this time it is actually finished in silver, so it's 3D like the MiniGT was, but silver this time. And another top secret number plate, similar than the other cars had over there, but it's a little bit smaller. And then once again, the little bolt holes over there, which we didn't actually check on the PopRace, so that one has it as well. And of course, same here. And strangely enough, these two do not have the Agura clutches logos right here. So once again, these two are kind of in their own league, strangely enough. The two free rolling models versus the two mounted models. So crazy. Interesting finds going through this. And of course, we've got the silver exhaust, also not painted in black in the center, and the diffuser seems to be like almost identical on all of them. And now to the wing over here. So we've got this huge GT wing over here. On this one over here, it's finished off in black, and we've even got a nice little carbon fiber texture over here, and a nice bit of three-dimensionality as well, and even on the edges of the wing. Then heading to the PopRace, once again the same carbon texture, but this one's actually got a bit more three-dimensionality, I feel, and the carbon texture once again, and these black struts over here. And now to the Inno, another beautiful carbon fiber wing, great highlights on this as well, and nice three-dimensionality once again. And this one's got the black struts, but you can actually see they're pierced through over there, so really nice bit of detail. And then to the BMC, we've got just a flat black finish on this one over here, so no carbon fiber, but we do have some nice three-dimensional struts with the pierced through areas. In the rear window over here, top secret GT-300, and we've got the window defrost as well, and a little bit of a top secret service logo here as well. Then jumping back to the Inno over here, once again we've got the GT300 logo, although this time finished off quite a lot nicer over here in this gold. GT300, top secret Japan, and we've got the rear window defrost as well, just like we had on this car. But one difference you can see straight away, well actually two, is that we've got the rear windscreen wiper, and we've even got a rear strut brace over there, and that's got a really nice finish with the silver edges and a nice bit of detailing. And of course, we've even got a roll cage in this one that you can see, and that's not really visible in this BMC variant over there. So nice bit of detailing. Then up to the MiniGT, no defrost, but we've got the writing in the back window over there. So here's the Inno64, and you can just see the writing's quite a bit bigger, and we do have that rear brace there as well, but it's not quite as nicely detailed as the Inno64 one was. The PopRace over here, the logos are pretty similar, you can see, although they are a little bit smaller of course. And once again, we've got some nice detailing on that rear strut support there. It almost looks like this one's actually finished off in a carbon fiber finish, which is really awesome. and the edges are highlighted in silver. But I feel like once again this Inno64 seems to take the cake in pretty much most of the areas of this car. But this one does have the windscreen wipers there as well. So coming to the other side, it's pretty much the same, but we've got the fuel filler cap over here. And if you look over here, it actually has a Prolong logo on the side there, where we had that blow-off valve on this side. And of course, back to MiniGT, once again we've got the fuel filler cap over there, and this one has a Prolong logo just over there as well. And then of course the Inno64, the fuel filler cap, and once again a nice saturated Prolong logo over there. And just underneath the mirror over here, video option. Of course, they were the organizers of that high-speed run that this car was built for in New Zealand. And lastly, on the BMC, once again we've got the fuel filler cap over there, and this time this blow-off valve is actually situated on this side rather than that one. So no logo, but you can see it's got a little bit of three-dimensionality with those little bolts around the edges as well. So oh, man, that must have been difficult to listen to all of that, but saying it is even more insane, guys. I've needed like 10 glasses of water going through that, so I'm happy if you've gotten this far. And now with all the exteriors done, let's actually jump into the interiors of this car just briefly. So BMC, we've got some nice bucket seats, some nice three-dimensionality in the center, and even a little bit of a steering wheel over here. But as you can see, we don't have any kind of roll cage in there, but pretty decent looking surfacing in the rear over here as well. And it looks like we might have some kind of gauges, although it's pretty much impossible to see, but nice three-dimensionality in those gauges on the passenger side as well in there. So you can have a look from this angle here as well. And it's decent enough, but not a huge amount of detail to say the least. So with the Inno one, let's check that out. And starting off with the driver's side. So finally, this time we've got some different kind of bucket seats as well. The bolsters are not quite as big, especially on the sides over here, but we do have a nice 5-point harness in here, and it says Takata on it, and that's really true to the original. And man, I'm really impressed by that actually. And we've even got the roll cage in this car as well, even heading down the side of the door panels, and we've even got speakers in the doors. Looks like we've even got some gauges on this section here and a radio in the center. And of course, we've got the 3 little gauges here, just so Smoky can keep an eye on what's going on in this beast of a car. And we've even got a radio with the buttons on the interior over there. So you can see that we've even got a digital dashboard display in the center. Man, this thing is really impressive. So next up, of course, we've got the MiniGT over here, and let's check it out from the driver's side. And this is another dark finish variation, some bucket seats in there, and nice little detailing on the seat belt area and those things. And we've got a roll bar in there as well, although this one's finished off in black, so it's not quite as prominent, and I don't think it goes down on the side of the interior of the door either. And of course, we've got some gauges there as well, so they're just over there, but they're not colored in or anything. It's just a 3D element, but not quite too much detail. It's more similar to the BMC, but this one has a more traditional Supra setup on the dashboard. So let's check out the PopRace over here. And on the driver's side, wow, okay, this is actually really impressive. So we've got some nice bucket seats, and we've even got some kind of a texturing happening on the seats over there, and that's a pretty wild thing that they've actually put in there. I'm really impressed by that. And of course in the rear as well, it's pretty decently modeled, and we've got the roll cage just finished off in this gold color, but it doesn't go down the side of the door insert on the inside. But strangely enough, you can see the gold paint is on the interior of this kind of A pillar and going all the way down the sides. The dashboard kind of finishes abruptly on the edge there with a black, and then we've got that body color on the inside there, and so far none of the other cars had that, so that's a bit really random. And of course here we've got the gauges once again. You can even see the numbers that's written on them. I hope the car is doing fine with those readings. And of course here is the seats once again, and we can even see the dash just slightly bit, although not too much. But really great detailing on this PopRace variant as well. So now let's jump into the conclusions of all of these. So guys, let me know, what do you think about this BMC Supra? Well, my take on this car is the fact that it was the first one that was brought to us out of all the companies, which means it was a pioneer in releasing this top secret Supra for us. And that means they, of course, had to pretty much start everything from scratch, and they didn't even manage to have anything else that was in competition with them, so they could see maybe things that they would want to tweak here or there or anything like that. And considering the fact that it was the first one to come out, I feel like BMC came out swinging, especially in terms of the detail department and primarily under that bonnet area. We've got really great detailing in that 2JZ engine, even though unfortunately the car didn't feature a 2JZ in real life. There were a few top secret Supras, but they either featured this Celica GT4 engine or they had Nissan Skyline GTR RB26s. And of course there was even a really famous V12 variation from a Toyota Century. So none of them actually had the 2JZ. It's a bit of a shame, but at least we've got the detail. And I must say, even the vinyls and the little details are included on the car. They've really gone all out. I mean, comparing to cars such as the PopRace and the MiniGT, I feel like this has even quite a lot more detail in terms of all the vinyls and the finishings, and really they've done an excellent job on this BMC variation. And next up, of course, the Inno64. Well, what can we say about this one? Man, oh man, this is a real heavy hitter. This car looks absolutely phenomenal. The stance is absolutely spot on with this car. The wheels look absolutely incredible. We've got brake details and we've got a huge amount of detail on the interior, all the gauges, the roll cages even there, and great detailing and even the lights with the black surrounds, and just all the details are really out there on this car. Even the little bonnet latches, and you know, they say the devil's in the details. So I must say, overall I would think that this car would take the win out of the entire race, except for the fact that it doesn't have an opening bonnet, and of course that would be an incredible thing if it did. But overall the vinyls and everything just looks completely spot on this Inno64 version. So next one up, of course, the MiniGT. Well, what can we say about the MiniGT? I feel like in terms of the four, this one feels the most simplistic. I mean, it's the one that rolls the easiest, and it's also the cheapest one out of all four of them. So I would say it's not quite as premium as the other ones, whereas the other ones feel like high-end collectors sort of display models. This one kind of feels a little bit more light-hearted and a little bit more easygoing. Of course, they've got beautiful finishings, and I really like the differentiation of that entire bonnet area. It really gives it quite a lot of a unique character as opposed to the commonalities between the other three. And we've even got some nice depths of details in some areas, especially places like the side intakes over there and even the front end. Of course, we've got great surface modeling on this car overall, and we've even got a really nice planted looking stance on this car. And I feel like it's a little bit more simplistic on the vinyls, especially the rear end feels a little bit empty for me. Even the third brake light is not colored, and the number plate is missing any kind of writing, so it takes a little bit away from the realism, and even the rear view mirrors don't have any reflectors in there or anything like that. So I feel like this is a cool car for the price it is, but it's just not quite as detail heavy as the rest of them. Lastly, the PopRace variant, and well, what can we say about this car? Well, straight away it's got a massive amount of detail, and that is evident all over the place. Even the vinyls on the car, they're pretty much the most that any of the cars have. It shows a huge amount of detail on the side, a lot of writing all over the place, and of course proportionately I feel like this one is one of the best ones out of all of them. And the huge difference between this and the other ones is the fact that we've got that beautiful bonnet over there, great amount of surface detailing, and it even opens and shows us that beautiful Toyota engine just underneath, the 3S GTE, totally correct to the real car. The only thing that I would say that brings the car down slightly is the quality of the paint. I feel like the other ones had a really beautiful finish on that clear lacquer, whereas this one seems a little bit toned down, almost not as thick on the clear coat. But it's really difficult to kind of say that that would bring it down so much, because the modeling of this car is just absolutely phenomenal. We've even got little bits of brake detail, although those brakes are pretty strange to say the least. But of course we have a beautifully modeled interior and even a lot of colors even on the materials on the seats. So this one is definitely one of the heavy hitters out of the 4 of these. Okay, here we are. So we've gone through all 4 models side by side with all the categories, and the reality is each one of these is really strong and none of them are actually bad. But if I were picking one that nails the complete brief, in my opinion, I'd go with, well, it's actually a bit of a tough call. My heart is kind of pulling me towards the Inno64 just because it's got such a beautiful stance, and I think with those TE37s and the amount of detail that's gone into this car, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And it even has the writing on the back, the beautiful lights, the beautiful photo etched little latches, the exhaust finished off in that titanium finish, the little brake details. Because of the details, this one for me takes the win overall. But of course we're missing the engine detail, and because of that the PopRace is really latching onto first place for me as well. It's so tough to decide between these two because the PopRace is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the stance of that is absolutely spot on. It rolls beautifully and the amount of details are absolutely crazy. And because I'm a huge detail nut, the fact that it's got the correct engine is like, oh man, it's such a tough decider for me, honestly. Of course, straight away, mounted models, the Inno takes the cake. And then in terms of unmounted models, the PopRace takes it. So between those two though, oh man, it's so tough. I would honestly have to flip a coin if I was only going to keep one of those cars. And then there's also the BMC variant, and to be honest, that was the first one of these cars that I ever picked up, and because of that it feels like the original, you know, and it's got a little bit of an underdog feel, especially now that these big hitters have come out with these crazy details. And the BMC really was putting so much detail and so much effort into bringing this car to us as the first company. So because of that, I've got a bit of a soft spot for this car as well. And then lastly we have the MiniGT, and well, what about this car? Where does it fit into this group? Well, to be honest, I feel like this one is just the little simple version. It doesn't have the acrylic box or anything like that. It's just kind of one of those really nice, cheaper, high-end models. Of course, it's the cheapest one out of all 4, so that's what you'd expect. But it's nice and simplistic. It's a great car to put into a little diorama, surrounded by a bunch of other top secret cars, such as its sibling over here, the Skyline. Those two are going to make an absolutely beautiful pair, just parked right next to each other together. With all that said, you guys might have different values than I do, not just about the detail but about some other things, because everyone has their own unique collections and everyone has their own unique styles that they like. So I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say, so please let me know in the comments which one of these cars you guys prefer, and what do you like about them, what do you not like about them. Let me know down below. That wraps up our 4-way Top Secret Gold Supra Battle, episode 2 of the Top Secret Dynasty series. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I know it was ridiculously long, and I hope you guys have actually stuck it out to the end, because I thought it was a pretty interesting comparison. And of course, episode 3 is already in the works, and it's going to be a good one. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for being part of A8A Works. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Ciao.